A local nonprofit organization exists to provide compassionate care to those in need. Their network of generous donors, volunteers, and employees share a mission of preventing and relieving suffering here at home and around the world. All the details of their efforts and what you can do to help them is coming up on Polk Place. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Brian Lacey, and joining us in studio is Janet McGuire. Janet is the Regional Communications Manager for the American Red Cross of Central Florida. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
First time on the show, huh?
Yes, here anyway.
Big trip over. Talk to me a little bit about what it is that the Central Florida region of American Red Cross does.
Well, we help people whenever they're in any type of crisis. It doesn't mean that it has to be a hurricane. It can be a single family fire. We're there for our servicemen and women and their families when they're overseas. Should a crisis happen at home, we're the ones that connect them and make sure that they can be there when needed. We teach CPR, all kinds of first aid courses, and certified nursing training. We also help overseas whenever it's needed.
Well, let's kind of break down. You guys have really 5 key areas of service. You mentioned the American military families.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about how folks can get connected with that and a little bit more about what you do with that.
Well, it starts when someone is getting deployed. We sit down with each person and make sure that we have all the information, so in case something does happen, it gets us that information much quicker and we can get them home if necessary. If there's a death in the family or a serious injury that requires their presence, you don't want to wait. So that's something that we set up in advance. We are the connection between the family and that serviceman or woman. It is mandatory for if a soldier needs to be released to come home, they cannot release them until they get a message from the Red Cross. So it's something that we're very passionate about. We've been doing it ever since the Civil War.
Depending upon where you're from in the United States, a lot of us are transplants here. Life-saving blood supply.
Yes.
There's a unique aspect that you guys take to. Talk to me a little bit about that.
You know, the Red Cross collects 40% of the blood across the country. Here in Florida, we do not collect the blood services. We do not collect the blood products, but we do service them in the hospitals from across the country. They come here in Florida. They can get blood services and blood products from anywhere in the country.
Now, you guys are great partners with Polk County Fire Rescue and Polk County EMS, and one of the things that you're always the health and safety services. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you guys get involved there.
We have so many classes, everything from babysitting to teaching you how to do CPR on a pet. Those are types of courses that everybody needs. First aid is something that especially if you have children around, you're going to need it. So we teach those classes regularly. CPR, we have different types of, depending if it's professional that needs it, if you need it for some kind of certification, or if you just want to know how to save someone you love, we do those classes too. A lot of our courses are also online.
No matter what news service you watch these days, no matter where it is in the world, you can always see the Red Cross emblem, and something that you guys provide and stand behind is the international services.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
It's so amazing to see, you know, there's so many different types of Red Crosses, if you will, across the world. Red Cross and Red Crescent societies in each country will have different types of duties. For instance, in Japan, the Red Cross runs the hospitals. You'll see a lot of search and rescue teams with the Red Cross or Red Crescent on their backs. Those are types of services that we don't have to provide here because we have the professionals, but we support those whenever they are needed. A country will come to us and say, look, our Red Cross is suffering. Can you help us by either collecting donations for financial services or volunteers? We have specific trained people that can go and help in different types of services.
One thing that you guys do locally, disaster relief, whether it be fire, flood, hurricane, tornado. You guys are on the front lines of that. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Whenever there's a crisis, we're there. And it doesn't matter how big or how small. Single family fires, if you lose your home in that type of a disaster, it's just as bad if you lose it in a hurricane. We're there every single day, right here in your neighborhoods, helping these people after a crisis so that they have someplace to go, making sure they have food, clothing. We even have mental health counselors that can talk to you and your children because it's such a traumatic experience. So we're always there with them, and we're so proud of that service because now we're really reaching out. We started in October of 2014 to reduce the number of serious injuries and deaths by fires by 25% over a 5-year period. And we are just leading the country right here in Florida by installing free smoke alarms and going around with the fire departments and different volunteers to help put those in and educate people on how to save themselves in case of their home breaks out in a fire. How do you get out of your own house? And teaching them, sitting down with them for a couple minutes and coming up with that plan. We're very proud of that.
With hurricane season upon us, a lot of people don't realize you guys are fantastic partners with Polk County Emergency Management, and Steve Thompson is always in on planning no matter what exercises we go through. Steve's one of your people that work hand in hand with Polk County Emergency Management. One of the things that they preach and they're saying this year is Florida hasn't been hit, and there's this complacency, and everybody's really relaxed about it. But one thing that you really try to do is prepare the residents of Central Florida for pending hurricanes. Let's talk a little bit about that.
You know, it's something that people don't understand, that it doesn't take a hurricane to cause a disaster. It could be a tornado touching down. It could be a flood, wildfire. Those things happen every single day around the country and right here in Florida. Hurricane season just gives us another opportunity to make sure that people take a responsibility to prepare themselves and their families to be safe in case of any type of an emergency or a disaster. Hurricanes, you know, we're Florida, we're right there, and we're a prime target for that. And it's something that we really are passionate about, because the more that we have families ready, the safer we're going to be. And that's why we're here and talking to you today, to make sure that people have that plan of how to prepare themselves.
And it's not a plan unless you have a kit. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Make a kit. There's 3 things. This is the first one. Get a kit, be informed, and make sure that you have a plan. So this is your kit. This is something that we've put together. You can buy these online, but it doesn't sound that you can do with the things that you have in your house. It's really important that you go through it now, though, and involve your kids in putting this together. Different types of things, personal supplies, shampoo and washcloths, soap and a comb. Those are important things. A first aid kit is another thing. Make sure that you have your documents copied. You know, we have this electronic age. Is very important, but it's so easy now that you can download copy your important insurance papers, birth certificates, anything that you may need, and put them on a thumb drive and send them someplace where it's not outside of this area, so that if something happens here, it's safe somewhere else. You know, we have the cloud now, so we can also use that too. But it's really important that those documents are safe and sound. We want to make sure that we have our medication ready, and it's something that you want to do now, to just let your pharmacy know that in case this is the medications that you're going to need. There's a Florida law once that there is a declaration made that you don't have to be almost out of your medication to get it refilled. So that's something that you want to discuss with your pharmacy so that they're familiar with that too. There's also different types of things that we're going to be without power. So one of the things we tell people is, have a flashlight, have batteries, make sure that you have some extra cash, because without power, those ATMs aren't going to work. Neither is the gas pumps. So fill up your car and make sure that you have it in there too. You want to have different types of things for your pets. It's really important that you have a picture of you with your pet. In case something happens, you get separated, you're going to be able to show that that animal is yours, and it's something that's very important.
One of the things that I noticed, the documents of yours, kind of pull that one out and show the folks at home just some of the preparation that you've got,
Sure.
and having it in the
Plastic bag, keep it dry. A lot of people will be told that they have to evacuate, so you want to make sure that you have a grab-and-go kit, because it doesn't take, with hurricanes we're a little bit fortunate because we have a little bit of lead time. You'll go into a hurricane watch and then into a hurricane warning, usually. But it's something that getting prepared now is very important, so that these things in a dry type of scenario is something you really want to keep. Keep one in your home and one in your car. Different types of things like your marriage certificates, insurance papers, who is your home insurer, those types of things. If you're renter,
policy.
That's exactly right, very important. Different pictures that you want to have, not just for proof of anything, but also for comfort. When you're not in your home, these can ground you and really help. Your vaccinations for your pets. If you're going to if you have a pet, make sure that you have copies of these, because if you need to go to a shelter, you're going to need to show this, and you want to make sure that you have all of your animals' shots up to date and licensed. These are types of things that people don't stop and think about until they need it, and that's why we're trying to tell them today. These are things that you can really get to know now and put it together. Make sure you have something for your kids that are going to keep them calm. In any type of a scenario of a hurricane, it's going to be loud, it's going to be noisy, it's going to be terrifying. So any types of things how you can prepare your children now so that they understand that they're going to be safe, they're going to feel much more at ease when that happens.
You mentioned something about being ready in case you have to take off in a moment's notice. A lot of families these days, certain members might be here, certain members might be here, and we know this is coming up.
Yes.
Talk about the importance of having a plan in the event that, okay, this is here, and it may be, say, a tornado. We have a little bit more warning hurricane-wise, but talk about the importance of a meeting place.
Yes.
As a family.
That's the plan part of it is so important, because it doesn't take anything huge to do that. You could have a water main break on your street and you can't get to your house. Where are you going to meet your kids? Always have a place that you can meet them off of your property and close by. If there's a fire, where are you going to get out of the house, how you're going to get out, what the exits are, and where you're going to meet. The second part of it is if you can't get in your neighborhood, that is another place that you need to make sure that you have a place to meet. Also, if you need to evacuate for any reason, if it's a hurricane or anything else, you want to make sure that someone outside of that area is your contact person, so that everybody in your family isn't trying to call you at the same time, jam up the phone lines. Here's my designated person. They will know where I'm at. We have an app that is really helpful with that, because it's called an emergency app, that you can press a button and it'll say, I'm safe, and it will let your contacts in your social media groups know where you are and that you're okay. Those types of things there's families that have been separated from Hurricane Katrina for ages because they didn't have that connection made in advance. So those are things that are really important to make now.
One thing that a lot of the local governments do is, in the event, say, folks can't shelter in place, they provide shelter. Talk about the importance of seeking out. I know we here in Polk County have our shelters and maps, and as our emergency director Pete McNally says, it's better to shake the hand of a person and know where you're going in the middle of the day prior to than at that moment that you need it. Talk about the importance of, say, if you have to shelter out of your home and seeking those places to go, whether you have special needs or animals or anything along that lines.
Well, the first thing I want to say is the shelter is the very last place you want to go. It is not the Love Boat. It's a salvageable place to go.
Yes, ma'am.
So you got to remember that if you do have to go into a shelter, it's going to be noisy, it's going to be frightening, there's going to be a lot of strangers, a lot of confusion, especially if you have kids or pets or anything. That's really scary to them. So now's the time, if you know you're in an evacuation zone, team up with someone from a friend that is outside of the evacuation zone, a church member or somebody that you know, and make arrangements for them now. If you have a pet and they have a pet, let's hope they get along so that you know that in advance. If you need to evacuate, it's something that you have to have a plan for now. And again, like I said, it doesn't take a hurricane, and we do have that little bit of space in there that we can figure it out, but why wait? Now's the time to get that put together. And it's something that you need to make sure you involve your kids to have that comfort level for them in case you do need to evacuate to a strange place.
As communication manager for the Central Florida region, talk to me about the importance of social media. You know, you mentioned the fact that, just the app alone helps families stay in touch with their own families, and also you getting the word out, things that you need the folks of this region to be aware of. Talk to me about how social media has made your job easier.
Well, it's not just made our job easier, but it's also a way that we can help people. A great example is I was in Moore, Oklahoma, after the tornadoes hit the schools there, and there was so many different neighborhoods that were just shattered. We just started really pulling into some more social media things, and I had a volunteer that was monitoring the social media to see if there was anything out there that we needed to know about. We found one that this woman put online that her entire neighborhood had been struck by a tornado, but nobody, including emergency management, knew about it. The communication was completely cut off in that area. So she managed to get some information out on social media. We tracked it down and got help to her immediately. And it's amazing now, people that cannot get through to a 911 call will automatically turn to social media before any other form of communication. So it's really important that people, those are types of things. It's not just for, what I have for dinner or this is what my day is like. This is something that you can communicate to your friends, to your family, to strangers about what you're doing to help make your community safe. It's not just about personal preparedness, it's about keeping your community safe. And that's where social media is a big part of that.
As with any nonprofit organization, you guys rely on the communities that you work in, whether it be through donations, whether it be through people donating their time and volunteering. Yes. Talk to me about the importance and how people can get involved with Red Cross in this community.
It is so important to learn how to help now. We have so many people that call us or show up at our door every day after a hurricane and say, I want to help. Now's the time to get prepared for that by getting the training. And it's not hard. It takes some hours to sit and watch things on the computer, go to a class. But those are things that you can learn now to know what to do in case it happens and how you can help. Red Cross we are run by volunteers. 97% of who we are volunteers. And I get goosebumps every time I say that because people are so generous with their time and their money to help when it's needed. But if we can get them ready now so that they're ready to go whenever that happens, you can help in your own community, in your own backyard, with your neighbors, or you can go out on a disaster halfway across the country and help those people that are going through different types of things. Look at Texas right now. So many floods and things like that. Those people put their own personal lives on hold to go and help others. And it's an amazing, amazing feat to learn that. And the feeling that you get when you actually see that you have made a difference in someone's life at the worst time of their life is an amazing types of things.
Well, Janet, from Polk County Government, we want to thank you for being an excellent community partner and joining with us to help protect the residents' lives and property here within this county and giving us some tips for this hurricane season.
Good. Thank you so much.
The American Red Cross makes a difference in the communities both here and abroad through 5 key service areas, including American military families, life-saving blood supply, health and safety services, international services, and of course, disaster relief. Now, with hurricane season upon us, they want you to know that preparation is the best protection against dangers of the hurricane. Know the difference between threat levels and plan accordingly. Now, if you need more information on hurricane preparation, disaster relief efforts, and how you can help the American Red Cross Central Florida region, give them a call at 813-348-4820 or look them up on the web at www.redcross.org.